So last where we stopped were our about section. We just set up these boxes to go side by side. Now let's try to customize these and make it look a little more nicer. And let's try to get this sort of structure from our template, where we have an icon, heading, and some text. So we'll do our own version of this. Let's see what that looks like. Let's try something. So we're in our services section, which is the place which is the container that will contain all our boxes inside the services container. Let's actually give this a border and see what this looks like. Border, 1 pixel solid black. If I save this, you'll see that this is what it looks like. This of course doesn't look too nice. It looks a little congested. Let's add some padding to this. Padding 30 pixels. And you can see some gap between it. That looks nicer. Of course, we're going to remove the border eventually, but this is just for you to understand how CSS works. Well, actually, we're not going to be needing this because we don't. We're going to be removing the border, so we don't actually need padding. We won't use that yet. So inside our services, you can see that this is here. Then what we'll do is, now we'll start to customize each of our boxes. Great, so let's start doing that. So we'll do something called .serviceBox. We'll set up a couple of styles, and we'll set each of these divs to have that service box style. No, we don't need that one. Just these three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So inside here, we'll put a class is equal to service box, right? And we'll save this. And now everything we put inside the service box class will be taken up by these 3 boxes, by all the 3 boxes, so we don't have to individually code for them. This is one of the use cases of classes in CSS. So let's get to that. So in service box, first of all, let's put up a width for each of these boxes. So we'll say width is 300 pixels. Great. So it stands out a bit nicely. Then no, we don't need that. Let's put each of these boxes. Let's give each of these boxes a border to see what we're working with. Okay, so right now each of these boxes look like this. Instead of a border, what we'll do is we'll set a background color. Alright, so we'll set background color, we'll put RGBA, we'll say that should be good. Okay, that's too dark, so we'll just reduce the brightness to about 0.1. There we go, that's better. Okay, so we don't need this border box. We don't need this border right now, so we'll delete that, save it. There, that looks nicer, but this is too cramped in. Let's put some spacing around this, and that spacing is called padding, right? Let's put a padding of about 10 pixels. Okay, that looks. Let's make that 30. There we go. That looks a lot better. That looks nicer, right? And you can see everything is aligned to the left. Let's align everything to the center. Text align center. There we go. That looks nice. And these boxes, let's put a border radius in there. Border radius 3 pixels. There we go. There's a small radius in there. It doesn't look too sharp right now. Sorry. Well, we also need to add in some icons in here. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so we have an icon inside the soaps box, but nothing is displayed over here because we haven't put anything in there. Well, there are two ways of putting an icon. We can either download a PNG or an SVG and set it like an image, or we can import a Google API for icons and then use the provided syntax to include an icon. So we can either use an image or we can use the Google sort of syntax. So all right, so first let's put, you don't need those. Now these icons, okay? So let's see how we can go ahead and do that. We're looking for some icons. So we'll go to the material.io. Icons have some good ones. So we'll look for something for web development. Let's see, web. All right, we can use something like this. So we click on it. We select the icon. But before we do this, we do have to import this Google Icons library into our right. So you can see. So to use a font, to use any of the Google fonts, what we can do is copy this link. You'll find this on github.com Google Material Design Icon. So we copy this link and paste it into our HTML. Right? Control C. We don't need that anymore. Come back in here and paste it just after our Google Fonts link. Paste that here. And now this should allow us to use Google icons, material design icons. Now, as you can see, in this web icon over here, you can see that it tells us how to use it. So if we provide a class called material icons and set it to web, then we will get this icon. And it'll pull that, it'll know what to get because we have linked this Google material icon library into our HTML. So if we just use the syntax, the library will know what to retrieve. So in this one, first we just have to write class is equal to material icons. Is that right? Yeah, material icons. And here we'll say web. If we save that, we should get, there we go, we have an icon in there. Let's do the same thing for the UI and the UX. Now for the second one was called UI UX design. So let's see what we can get for that. Let's search for UI. Okay, nothing. Search for design. Nothing, okay. Let's try style. Okay, this is a good one. Let's try and use this. Right, so this one is called style. So we'll add icon, class is equal to material icons, and here we'll say style. Save, and you should see that appear here. Yay! And now we'll find one for search engine and SMM. That's here. Once again, we'll say class is equal to material icons, and let's see what we can search for. How do we search for material? So search engine optimization will be, let's look at something like, okay, nothing related to analytics. Something related to charts. Okay. That looks okay. Let's see what else we have. That's fine. Let's poll. And we'll use this one. Okay. If we say poll, should be able to see all three of them now. Alright, this looks nice. Let's just customize this a little bit more. So now what we want to do is we want to say, look, inside the service box, I want everything with a class of material icons, and let's set the font size for all of them to 96 pixels, so they're big. There, that looks big. And we'll turn all of them to white, RGBA. Well, you know, have to be white. Then this doesn't have to be RGBA. We can just simply call it white. There, that looks nice. Let's provide some gap between these. So this first one is an H3. So inside the service box, you can see we have an H3 for each one of them. So that's good. So we'll say dot service box. The H3 inside each service box, will have a margin on the top of 10 pixels. There's a gap now. That looks good. And let's remove the bold from there. You don't want that. So we'll say font weight normal. There, that looks better. But now both the heading and the paragraph look very similar. So let's customize the paragraph a little bit. Let's say dot service box. All paragraphs inside a service box will be color of RGBA, and we'll set that to the same light gray that we had set earlier for the rest of the for some other content that we had set up here. I forget what it was. Never mind. So if I save that, there, this looks nice. Except let's bring some margin below this heading. So that was an H3, and let's set up the section description that we had done here. Let's set this up to have a margin top of 20 pixels. So this adjusts it for all of them. Yes, 20 pixels. This also has a margin top of 20 pixels. Great, so we're done with our About section. Let's move on to the Portfolio section. So we'll set up now, we'll set up the Portfolio section, something like this. We already have this. Well, now this is moving on to the edges of the screen, so let's put this all in the same container that we had set up before. Come on down to Portfolio, and we'll put all of this inside a container. And if you remember, this container was 1080 pixels wide, margin auto, padding 20 pixels. So this will put everything inside there. That should be good. Let's move all that into the container. If I save this, great. This is set as well. Now, what we're left to do is to add some images to each of these boxes. As you can see here, we have these images. We have images inside each of these boxes, but we haven't set up any links to them. So I'll tell you what I've done. As you can see, I have these small images over here, project 1, named project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very tiny images, very small sized, and I'm going to use them as the images for each of these boxes, right? So let's set up the image for all of these boxes. Is project 1. Project 2. Project 3. Project 4. Five. And project 6. We save this now. You can see that in our web page, yes, we have boxes, and inside each of these boxes we have an image. Right. Let's give each of these boxes, actually let's give this box over here, the main box which contains all these miniature boxes, a class of, we'll call it projects, right? We'll save that. And let's target this box first of all. We don't want it so close to the paragraph. So we're going to provide some margin for this box. So we'll say, okay, now we're going to target the portfolio section. Right, so by the way, we discussed comments in HTML, and this is how we do comments in CSS with a / and an asterisk, and we close it by putting an asterisk and a /. So using this, I'm just going to say okay, so this is how our page looks for now. Let's provide some actual some visual differentiation between the about section and the portfolio section. Let's do that actually. So we'll say we're going to target this portfolio section, and we'll change the background color, because right now it's the whole page is white, but just for this portfolio section we'll say the background color will be some sort of very light gray. So we'll say 0, 0, RGB, RGB are all three 0. That means black, but we're going to put the lightness to very dull. So you can see it's 0.1. This is too dark. Let's go lighter. Yeah, about there. Okay, let's do that. 0.3. There we go. That looks nice. And let's provide some padding for this, right? So we'll say padding top 50 pixels. There we go. That looks nice. So we've moved this away from just the edge of the section. And now we can move on to the our project section inside here, which is this box. Project section contains all our boxes. So let's start targeting that. So we'll say dot projects. Okay, first of all, the project, let's give it a margin from the top because it's too stuck to the paragraph over there. Let's say margin 50 pixels, and we'll even provide a margin at the bottom. Okay, we provide a margin at the bottom so that, you know, this gray space leaves some 50 pixels gap. So 50 pixels top and bottom. There we go, top, bottom. Okay, so this when you write margin like this means 50 pixels top and bottom, 0 for left and right. Okay, now we want all these projects to be displayed in a sort of grid fashion, like how it's done here, right? So the way we do that is we say display grid, but as you can see right now, nothing really happens because we have to specify how many rows we want in this grid. So we say grid template rows, and we'll say we want one fraction of what's available. We want 3 equal fractions of the space that's available. So we set that save. Sorry, this was not supposed to, sorry, this was rows. It should be grid template columns. Right, grid template columns. Great, so now we have 3 columns of equal fractions, right? And you know, we can't actually see each of these boxes, so just to make that clear, let's provide each of these divisions a class, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll say each of these divisions will have a class of projbox. Now let's target this projbox, and we provide a border so you can see what we're dealing with. 1 pixel, solid black. There, so this is, so we have a grid now, and as you can see, this doesn't look really nice because the picture, first of all, doesn't span the entire thing. It's very small. So let's see how we can handle this. Okay. What we'll do is we'll provide a gap between each of these boxes first, so that will be a grid gap in here. Grid gap will say 10 pixels. Right, so that's 10 pixels. Let's actually make that 50 pixels. It'll look nice. There we go. So that's grid gap with 50 pixels. Let's set the project box to, instead of setting a color to the project box, what we'll do is we'll actually set a background color. So we'll say background color will be RGBA. Okay, 0, 0. We'll put it the same here, like 0.1. Save. There, we have a box now. But what we'll do is let's stretch this image to the full width of this box. So let's do that. Let's also make the border of each of this box have a radius. So we'll say border radius 3 pixels. Say that. There we go. So now they have a slight curve. That looks better. We don't be needing that. Great. So now let's target the images inside each of these projboxes. We'll say image, and we'll say the image will have a width of 100%, meaning it'll span the entire width, right? So we'll say width 100%. There we go. That looks okay. I know this is a low quality image, but I'm just trying to show you how we can work and create a web page, alright? You can see that this image, because we've spanned it the entire width, it's overlapping the grid box, and hence it doesn't have a border radius. So let's provide a border radius for the top 2 edges of the image box. Of the image. So we'll say border radius. Border radius will say, so the border radius starts from the top left, then top right, then down right, down left, right? So we'll say 3 pixel, 3 pixel, 3 pixel, 0 for down right, and 0 for down left. Like that. There we go. Now, let's provide some gap for this paragraph in there. So we'll say, okay, Inside the project box, we have a paragraph. Let's say the paragraph will have a padding of 10 pixels. Great. Now it has a padding of 10 pixels. So this is our portfolio section. It looks pretty nice. So we have an about section. We have a portfolio section. Pretty good. Next we'll move on to the team sections.